Stick around, lots more still to come on today's show. A little later, we're going to figure out how this thing that looks like a hamster toy is actually a sophisticated rover destined for lunar exploration.
Plus, the story behind how this fire truck in California ended up in this rather precarious situation. That's coming up on Planet Now.
Okay, it's time to take the wraps off that gizmo we've been showing you that looks like a glorified hamster ball. Trust us, it's actually way more complicated than that. But is it fit for the moon? Stay tuned, we'll find out. I'm Jay Ingram.
And I'm Zai Tong, and we've got a world of show to jam into the second half of the show today. We're going to show you one unconventional way of crashing a tomato festival. And we'll give you the insider's view of the universe as only the Hubble Space Telescope can see, thanks to these brand new images.
And the very first Jay's Journal of the season is coming up a little later. And yes, the David Bowie spider will make an appearance on today's Weird Planet.
But first, when Daily Planet gets wind of a project that shoots for the moon, we turn our attention and our cameras precisely in that direction. In this case, it was North Carolina State University.
This is a true story about three guys and their race against time to test a lunar rover unlike any other. It starts here at North Carolina State University. It's a big day. Andre, the head honcho, is checking out the team's work. David arranged today's demonstration. He's advising the three amigos on their rover.
This is such a new design, we haven't really taken it out to, the proving grounds and figured out what it can and can't do.
Today they want to prove the moon-bound rover can do three things. 1, remote control inflation. 2, roll over lunar dust. 3, handle rough terrain. While they prep, here's the backstory. The rover is called Tumbleweed. Yep, just like what rolls across the desert. It's an inflatable sphere design, and it was inspired by a little trip to Mars. The Sojourner rover is inside this airbag. It was designed to cushion the rover's fall. Turns out the airbag moved further than the rover ever did. That made the folks at NASA wonder if maybe, just maybe, inflatable rovers are the way of the future.
This model has a couple of advantages over a typical wheeled rover design. We are hoping that if we can pretty much take one big wheel up on the moon, then we can get over much larger obstacles.
The idea of using a spherical rover first came about thinking about Mars, but it turns out that having a sphere as a rover is such a good idea in terms of being able to travel down ravines, to travel into craters and so forth, that NASA became interested in looking at them for the moon as well.
Inflate the sphere.
The inflation looks good, but this face tells a different story.
Both of our flanges broke on the inside. We're going to have to make some really quick
adjustments. When the bar is not connected to the plastic anymore, any torque we apply is just going to rotate the bar without turning the sphere. It's not going to roll forward.
It'll take, I don't know, probably a good 2 hours.
Meanwhile, down the hall, Alex Hartle is working on another part of the Tumbleweed project.
What you'd like to do with your computer model is be able to create a situation where you can test out in a computer environment various types of rover designs.
He's trying to figure out what happens when a sphere hits an obstacle, like, say, a rock on the moon.
Where I go.
The data he's collecting from these real spheres will be added to his model.
One of the things you'd want to look at is how much air should you have in your Tumbleweed rover, because the more air you have in it, obviously the more bouncy it's going to be. And so you'd want to test, how much bounce do you want to get over a particular type of terrain.
Eventually, this information will help engineers build prototypes. Speaking of which, this prototype is back with fancy new flanges.
We're really excited, and they're a lot better than what we had, so no worries.
Remote inflation? Check.
We got about 1 inch of clearance, 1.5 inches right now.
The reason we want to have the lunar tumbleweed to be inflatable is that when they're deflated, they take up much less space.
Space is critical in planning missions, so we're hoping to design a rover that is compact so that instead of taking one rover, you can take many rovers.
If you lose one or two, it doesn't mean you have a mission failure. And in fact, if you lose one and it goes down to the bottom of a crater, that's great because you learn what's going on at the bottom of that crater.
The rover is inflated and moving, but something is wrong. Again.
The cable on the motor underneath came loose.
Is that for the pendulum?
Yeah, so turning is shot.
Luckily, turning isn't a factor in the next test because there's no room to turn. This chintzy pile of simulated moon dust cost $375.
Lunar dust is an interesting material. It's very fine. It's like a extremely fine baby powder.
Right now we're just trying to see the traction that he has because the plastic is very smooth and it's very thin, and so far he has a pretty good traction, so I'm happy with the result.
Rolls on moon dust? Check. They need to reconnect the steering for the final test. It is the most difficult one.
We're gonna
Definitely going to work this time.
It's all or none right now. All right, Otter, go slow and diligently.
This is the last tank of air. They have to make sure the rover is in perfect operating condition before upping the ante.
Good turn radius.
It uses a pendulum system to navigate so that when you swing the pendulum forward, the entire sphere wants to chase the pendulum. If you were to swing it to the side, the sphere would want to turn to chase the center of mass.
They detect a slow leak, so this needs to get to the test ground pronto.
All right, just go with it. Go with it. Give some love. Go, babe, go! Go on the leads.
Handles rough terrain? Check.
I don't know what to say. This is the first time we tested outside on the grass, on the incline, and this is the best result we have ever gotten from this rover.
All right, good.
Yeah, Diego.
Good job.
Mission accomplished. Time now for our spin around the globe for all the latest happenings. Yes, it's time for Planet Now. And we begin with this crazy scene in Utah. Crowds at the Hooper Tomato Day